All right, welcome to this explainer. We have got a massive week in tech to unpack today. We're currently tracking a pretty wild collision course. On one hand, the microscopic architecture of new AI models is advancing at absolute light speed. But on the other hand, that unstoppable force is about to slam right into a very real wall of global geopolitical showdowns. So let's try to make some sense of it all.
Look, the numbers we are seeing this week are just staggering. They really signal a massive vibe shift in the industry. We are officially leaving that sort of experimental, playful phase of AI. Instead, we're entering a much more complex era, one that's defined by intense enterprise friction and the sudden, incredibly urgent need for nations to control their own tech infrastructure.
So let's start right at the foundational layer. Section 1. The next AI model race.
Google is literally flooding the zone right now with 3 new Gemini Flash models. And what's really fascinating is they've included a highly restricted cyber variant built exclusively for governments and trusted partners. They're actually skipping a troubled 3.5 Pro generation entirely. Instead, they're focusing their highly efficient Frozen V2 chips on pre-training Gemini 4. But hey, the open source world, absolutely not holding back. Moonshot is gearing up for a historic 2.8 trillion parameter release with Kimi K3. To put that into perspective, that massive size makes it a total heavyweight, capable of some deeply complex reasoning.
Now, obviously, all those massive models require a serious hardware push. NVIDIA just dropped the full specs and CPU benchmarks for their absolutely monstrous Vera CPU. We're talking 88 Olympus cores, 176 threads, and 1.2 terabytes per second of memory bandwidth. They aren't just releasing a new chip here, they are fundamentally redefining the speed limit for custom AI architecture.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Enterprise Reality Check. Because honestly, having the fastest chips in the world doesn't mean much if companies can't figure out how to actually use them.
And here is where the rubber meets the road. This recent HCL Tech study of 500 decision makers perfectly captures the big paradox we're in right now. 90% of leaders say AI is transforming their workflows, which sounds great, right? But wait, only a tiny 18% slice are seeing a significant impact on actual revenue. So the gap between AI hype and real tangible profit is widening, creating this massive divide between the true leaders and everyone else just trying to keep up.
We're seeing this messy deployment friction literally everywhere. Meta's automated AI moderators are accidentally deleting major business accounts, causing massive headaches for real people. Substack is getting so incredibly nervous about AI spam that they're slapping detectors on anything over 100 words, even while admitting that the tech makes mistakes. It's gotten so tough out there that OpenAI is actually pivoting to offer discounted programs just to coax smaller businesses into adopting their tools.
And yeah, this friction is absolutely showing up on Wall Street. IBM surprisingly slashed its full-year revenue growth guidance down to just 4 to 5%. Meanwhile, Alphabet is staring down a pretty existential question. Are their flashy new AI search features actually going to cannibalize their core advertising revenue by driving away human web traffic? It's a huge unknown.
But despite those corporate hiccups, the physical build-out of AI is not slowing down for a second. Let's look at Section 3, Infrastructure and Expanding Horizons.
Just take a second and absorb this number. $60 billion. That is Supermicro Computer's current AI server order backlog alone. That represents roughly 2 full years of revenue locked in. So while software adoption might be rocky, the demand for physical data centers, that is absolutely not plateauing. No way.
To manage that kind of massive physical scale, developers are turning to tools like SkyPilot, which just raised $20 million to basically act like a traffic cop, seamlessly orchestrating AI workloads across multiple cloud providers. At the exact same time, legacy giants like Intel are pivoting to build custom security firewall chips for companies like Fortinet. It just goes to show that in this AI gold rush, digital security is becoming just as critical as raw computing power.
All of this hardware and money brings us to our macro level and final theme. Section 4, the geopolitics of sovereign AI.
Because the stakes are so astronomically high, AI labs are aggressively lawyering up in Washington. Anthropic dramatically outspent OpenAI in Q2, dropping nearly $2 million on federal lobbying. And what are they prioritizing with that cash? Cybersecurity and copyright defense. That tells us exactly where these companies believe the real regulatory battles are going to be fought.
Looking objectively at the global geopolitical board, the U.S. Treasury is ramping up pressure by threatening economic sanctions on Chinese AI models. This tension has directly accelerated Europe's push for total tech independence. The result? A multi-billion-dollar pact between Microsoft and Mistral to build a massive 1 gigawatt European AI cluster by 2030. 1 gigawatt. That is literally enough power to run a medium-sized city, and they're building it entirely on NVIDIA Vera Rubin GPUs in a fully disconnected, secure environment.
All right, to wrap things up, mark your calendars with these key deadlines. The DeepSeek V4 API migration hits on July 24th. That massive Chemi K3 open-weight model drops on July 27th. And looking to the stars, NASA's $4.3 billion Roman Space Telescope launches on August 30th. It's a pretty great reminder of how this foundational tech stack is quite literally powering our next leap into the cosmos. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. As $60 billion backlogs collide with the rising walls of sovereign AI, we really have to ask, when the dust settles, who will actually control this technology? Will it be the tech giants, the governments, or the open source community? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes on the horizon, and we will catch you next time.